So I'm going to welcome BJ Bloom up here to give his faith story. Would you guys welcome him with me?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So, as Sam said, my name is BJ Bloom. Faith stories are one of my favorite things. It's always so humbling and it's amazing just seeing how God works through every single one of us. And every time I hear one, I always think, what would I say if I was ever asked? And I have my answer. I said yes. And the reason I say that is, just like everyone else, my faith story it's emotional, it's complicated, and it's really personal. I don't talk about it very often. I'm not very open with it, because to do so, I have to think back to moments in my life and things that I've experienced that I've worked past, or I've actively tried to forget. Growing up, I was not raised in a Christian household. My parents did not talk about God. We did not pray. We didn't even have a Bible in our house. We were very, very poor growing up. Sometimes homeless, often without food, heat, hot water, clean clothes. I didn't have my own bed until I was a teenager. I usually just slept on the floor or on the couch of wherever we were staying. That stayed with me even to when I became an adult and I had my own place. I had my own apartment. I had my own bedroom. I had my own bed. I had my own linens. I still slept on the floor, or I still slept on the couch because it was comfortable and it was familiar to me. I remember, in high school, sneaking into the high school before class started just so I could get a warm shower. These moments stick out in my mind a lot throughout my life, and it might sound really strange, but I'm really thankful for them, and I thank God for every single one of them. I know what it's like to have very little. I know what it's like to have absolutely nothing, and it's given me a great perspective to be very appreciative for what I do have, but also work really hard to make sure that my family doesn't know what that life is like. As far as my family, my dad is a really good man. He's worked really hard, taking any odd jobs that he could possibly find to provide the little bit that we had. As for my mom suffers from very severe mental health issues that she would self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. The combination of my dad not being around very much when I was a kid and my mom being very unstable, my sister and I, we suffered through some mental, physical, and emotional abuse constantly throughout my childhood. And I remember not really knowing what to do as a kid when the person who was supposed to love you and protect you is hitting you, calling you terrible names. So I prayed. I didn't really know what I was praying for. I didn't really know how to pray. I just remember asking for help. And I would pray so often that my mom would make fun of me for it. And she would tell me to keep praying and see if Jesus comes down to save you. I didn't understand it, and I didn't really realize it until I was much older, and I began my relationship with Jesus. But he did. He saved me, and he was there with me the entire time. I moved out on my own on my 18th birthday. It was my birthday present from my dad that year, was to help me move, and I never looked back. I was trying to find my own way through life, and it led me to put my newfound career ahead of absolutely everything and everyone. I chose my career over my friends, my family, relationships, and even at times my own health. I felt that this would provide validation, not only to myself, but to people who bullied me, who said I was worthless, and who told me I would never amount to anything. I finally found something I was truly great at. It made me proud, never really gave me fulfillment, gave me money, but it never gave me a purpose. It didn't fill that void in my life that I was hoping that it would. But like a lot of people do, I still pursued it at all costs. I worked really hard over the next 15 years to be a credible and reliable leader that had allowed me to develop a leadership development training. And in May of 2015, on my very first day of my brand new class that I was facilitating and teaching, I met a beautiful, ambitious, highly intelligent leader named Brianne. What I didn't know on that day was that Brianne was going to change my life. Over the next year, her and I developed a friendship, and I took on a mentorship role within her leadership journey. In 2016, her and I began dating. And for those who don't know, there are certain organizations that really frown on that. And I was told that I need to leave my current position, or that I need to go to a different department, or that I need to leave the organization altogether. My career was absolutely everything to me. I sacrificed so much to get there, and it brought me back to those same old feelings of failure, not being good enough, and feeling like I'm worthless. I was really angry. I was hopeless. I was lost, and I was really terrified. I tried really hard over the next few months, applying for any position. Internally, externally, it didn't matter. I was throwing job applications out there, and nothing, not even a phone call. And I couldn't stop but help and think, why doesn't anybody want me? And I was at the end of my timeline that I was given through my employer, and I was like 2 weeks away from losing the very thing that was my identity. And I remember driving home one night, and I called Brianne, and I told her I didn't know what else to do. And she listened to me throw myself a pity party for much longer than I would like to admit. And she said something to me. She asked me, have I tried praying? And I told her that I haven't prayed for over 20 years. I don't know how to pray. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And she just told me, just talk to God. He'll listen. So I got off the phone, and I just started talking to God. At first, I told him that I wanted to keep my job, or I want him to help me find a new one, and I just stopped, and I paused, and I told him, forget about everything that I just said. I just don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be stressed anymore. I don't want to feel worthless. I don't want to be ashamed. I just want him to take it from me. And I want to feel valued. I want to be happy. And I want to have peace. So this next part, it's still pretty crazy to me. I still get pretty emotional, and it gives me chills. But the very next morning, I got a phone call. And the very next morning, it was a phone call with a job offer within my organization that not only saved my career, but the job gave me a lot of flexibility and allowed me to own my own day-to-day operations, which really comes in handy later. 3 months later, in January of 2017, Brianne's mom, Rose, spoiler alert, she's now my mother-in-law, invited me to come to RCC. I will tell you that my first thought was absolutely not happening, not coming in, stop talking about it. I'd never been inside of a church before. I never opened a Bible before. But despite all of that fear, that uncertainty, I decided to come with them to RCC. To say that I was scared was an understatement. However, as I was walking up, that fear and uncertainty and doubt, it quickly left me. And I was greeted at the door with a handshake, a genuine smile, and a deep thankfulness from Barry that I was here. Barry didn't know me. No one here did. But everyone was really happy that I was here. I would love to tell you that I remember everything that Mike said on my first day here, but I don't. Sorry, Mike. What I do remember is the feeling of love, acceptance, peace, and joy. I remember the music, I remember the people, but most importantly, I feel like I belong here. One of the things that I do remember in that sermon is Mike saying that even as a pastor, it's difficult to remember to pray. So he has a necklace with a cross on it, and as he puts it on or takes it off, that's his reminder to stop what he's doing and just talk to God. That day, there was a basket of crosses in the back for you to take with you to not only just remind yourself to pray, but also that Jesus is always with you. And as I was leaving that day, I grabbed one, and 5 years later, I still have it on. Accepting and following Jesus is hands down the most important and impactful decision that I've ever made in my life. I've been able to find peace, forgiveness, patience, self-acceptance, and to not only be able to give love, but to accept love from other people. I have been blessed with an amazing group of friends that we've met through our community group here. When Brianne and I were moving from Appleton to Ripon, we struggled for months to find a house here. It was to the point where I think our realtor was going to cancel our contract because we were coming down like 3-4 times a week and we couldn't find anything. Brianne putting a prayer request in the offering basket led us to getting a phone call. And we were told that there's a house that's about to go on the market in Ripon. And we now own that house. That prayer that got me a new position, that gave me the flexibility that I needed in my career, it allowed me to navigate having a newborn, Brianne starting a new career, and 2020. I said earlier that I didn't understand or realize that Jesus was with me when I was a child. Now I understand that he was not only with me, but he was protecting me and he was providing for me. I think back throughout my life and I'm so humbled and I'm so grateful for the people that he brought into my life. I know it was him who surrounded me with very special people who took me in and who fed me, who clothed me, and who loved me. I know that it was him that brought Brianne into my life that day. I know it was him who has answered my prayers, and I know it was him who loved me when I felt like nobody else in my life did. I leave you today with one of my favorite quotes from Ben Stein. Faith is not believing that God can, it's knowing that God will. Thank you.